Yeah. Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Dr. Arul Raj, the Global Cardio Diabetic Conclave organizing team, Dr. Arti, and all the persons for inviting me to speak on ECG in diabetic dysrhythmia. So we'll go one by one. So we all know there is always a association of cardiovascular disease and diabetes mellitus. Diabetes is a coronary risk equivalent, we all know. Diabetes mellitus is a major risk factor for CVD and mortality with the increasing prevalence in the aging population. CAD is the major cardiovascular abnormality in diabetic patients. Cardiomyopathy and left ventricular hypertrophy are two other known associated cardiovascular abnormalities. The conduction abnormalities in diabetes mellitus, there are a few non-randomized studies reporting increased prevalence of cardiac conduction abnormalities such as right bundle branch block, bifascicular block, high degree atrioventricular block, but not left bundle branch block in diabetic patients. Please note. Diabetes mellitus and cardiovascular abnormalities. Most clinicians are not aware of this association and it is rarely mentioned in the published reviews about cardiovascular abnormalities in this population. The cause of cardiac conduction abnormalities in diabetic patients is not known rather. If autonomic neuropathy or diabetes mellitus associated CVD plays a role, it remains unknown. The goal of this ECG is to look at conduction abnormalities in diabetic patients. So this is a 70-year-old gentleman, known diabetic, not hypertensive, chest pain. Just look at the ECG. Just we can analyze the ECG by using my simple mnemonics, a normal PQRST, age, name, O, gender representation, and or rate, rhythm, axis, and morphology. Look at PQRST. What does this ECG show? So the vital points in the ECG, interestingly, there is an association of conduction defects in diabetic patients. So this is, you can see. So this is a 70-year-old man. This is a 42-year gentleman. He is a known diabetic, but not hypertensive. Chest pain. So that ECG is 72-year-old man, again diabetic, not hypertensive. The first person 72, you can see what are the vital points in both these ECG. Interestingly, there is an association of conduction defects in diabetic in both patients. 70-year-old gentleman, you can see RBB complete. That is a normal, but for LV diastolic dysfunction, grade 1 in the echo. You can see again the 72-year-old man. You can see the RBB at a closer look. Again, you look at the 42-year gentleman. Again, ECG, RBB, and left axis deviation. You can see, that is, you look at lead 1 and lead 3 AVF, that is, you can see the axis deviation. But in this 42-year gentleman, the echo is rather normal. So the diabetes and aortic stenosis, the diabetes mellitus predisposes to aortic stenosis. A study was done way back in 2002 in patients with the diabetic mellitus and without diabetes mellitus about the expression of inflammatory markers in aortic stenotic valves. There is an increased expression of markers, that is the C-reactive protein, now gaining momentum even in COVID-19. There is an increased expression of C-reactive protein in diabetes mellitus, especially with aortic stenosis. Diabetes mellitus is associated with enhanced inflammation within aortic stenotic valves measured by C-reactive protein expression, which may rather contribute to faster aortic stenotic progression. So again, you look at this ECG of 75-year-old gentleman. He is a known hypertensive and diabetic patient. This patient has come to me, that is shortness of breath, chest pain, dizziness. Patient has had a syncope. So you can look at carefully by this ECG. So what does this show? This patient has CAD, left axis deviation, LVH with the strain associated with aortic stenosis. Echo again shows CAD and aortic stenosis. You can see very well. You can see shows 2,3 AVF. That is, you can see QS complexes. So CAD, LAD. Again, ECG of 84-year-old lady. This lady again has come to us a shortness of breath, chest pain, palpitation. Palpitation, we all know that is unpleasant awareness of one's own heartbeat. Dizziness, known hypertensive, diabetic. Again, what does this ECG show? Again, this ECG shows CAD, yes, LVH with the strain, ischemia, the coronal voltage criteria we can apply. That is R in AVL is 11 millimeter. You can see very well. R in AVL is more than 11 millimeter. That is coronal voltage criteria. And R in AVL plus S in V3 more than 20 millimeter in the CCG lady. And left axis deviation. So patient is a known hypertensive, echo, atherosclerotic aortic valve disease, that is aortic stenosis, rather severe. And also there is global hypokinesia, dilated left ventricle, ejection fraction is 36%, that is reduced ejection fraction. We all know ejection fraction is divided into preserved ejection fraction 50%, mid-range ejection fraction 40 to 50%, and reduced ejection fraction less than 40%. This patient ejection fraction is 36%. And also the posterior mitral leaflet calcification. So this is very important. And also this patient ECG is analogous to previous one, 75-year-old man ECG of case of CAD and aortic stenosis, pulmonary hypertension also. So how do you approach this management of aortic stenosis? We all know whenever a patient comes, we have to evaluate ECG, echo, investigations, further investigations, and with the ECG and echo, we can clinch the diagnosis. Again, this 38-year-old gentleman that is known diabetic, 4 years on oral hypoglycemic agents, not a hypertensive, no other specific investigations, routine investigation today. You can see the ECG carefully. And what does the ECG shows? Again, it shows RBP. You can see, look at it, V1, that is M pattern, that is right bundle branch block, QRS more than 0.12 seconds, and wide S waves in V5 and V6. This is a very characteristic feature of right bundle branch block. This is a common conduction abnormality in diabetic mellitus patient. You can see the lab reports also. You look at carefully, the triglycerides is more than 1000 milligram per deciliter. So this patient, this is a lipemic blood of 38-year-old gentleman, known diabetic on OHS. This is hypertriglyceridemia. You can see the creamy layer on storing in refrigerator. So this 62-year gentleman, known hypertensive and diabetic, again you can see this patient is known hypertension, diabetic, euthyroid, LV dysfunction, grade 1 patient has had severe angina. That treadmill test strongly positive. CAG, that is diffuse triple vessel disease, that is carotid arteriogram, angiogram, underwent CABG, that is way back in 9/4/2014, and came for routine checkup for left loin pain, that is ureteric colic. This USG abdomen, interestingly, the patient has left agenesis of left kidney. First, the patient did not disclose, though he knew already, subsequently agreed. So, incidental finding. So, history plays a vital role in evaluating any case. You look at the previous case, I told you that triglycerides are so high. That is also the history is very important. Investigations are very important. Always when the triglycerides are very much increased, we have to be careful in calculating the LDL assay because most of the labs do not do direct LDL assay. They also apply the formula. There are many formula. There are about 8 formula. One is Friedewald formula, modified Friedewald formula, Anandaraja formula, Hattori formula, Ujovic formula, and Chen's formula. So many Pahlavi formula. So commonly we use Friedewald formula. We all know total cholesterol minus HDL cholesterol minus triglycerides divided by 5. Suppose the Friedewald then he revised total cholesterol minus HDL cholesterol minus triglycerides divided by 6 that he thinks it is holding good, provided if the triglycerides even it is applicable less than 100 and more than 400. And also another formula, Anandaraja formula is also there. So this 62-year gentleman, which we have already discussed. So again, you look at this ECG of 58-year gentleman, the hypertension and diabetic, he has had treatment for CAD. So you can see, you look at it, V1, V2, almost E wave inversion, almost this patient has got both extensive anterior wall and also inferior wall. You can see 2-3 AVF, that is almost 3 AVF, that is QS complexes. And patient known hypertensive, diabetic, poor glycemic control, had severe MI, angio done, triple vessel disease, so CABG also done. The glycemic control is very essential as diabetic patients is more prone for CVD. So the inferior wall is being represented in this BCG, that is 2-3 AVF, that is QS complexes, and extensive anterior wall, that is non-ST, that is very much elevated, and QS complexes from B1 to B6. That is both. So that is why patient always has got a poor prognosis. This is an 80-year-old gentleman. Again, he comes with chest pain. Patient has pedal edema. He is a known hypertensive and diabetic. He came to us, that is way back in 2016. You can look at this ECG carefully and then analyze. A minute. Okay. What does this ECG show? Again, you look at V1. Again, RSR dash complexes, that is M pattern. Again, it shows RBP. This is rather more common in diabetic patients. Echo shows mild concentric LVH, no regional wall abnormality. But for LV relaxation abnormality, rather grade 1. LV function normal because the ejection fraction is 64%. But patient is pedal edema. Patient is anemic. That is 7 grams per deciliter. Hypoproteinemic, correction done. Patient improving, history and appropriate investigations are vital. We should not immediately drag on and conclude this is a patient of coronary heart disease. Always we must investigate properly and rule out any other associated medical conditions. This patient being anemic 7 grams, it shows all these changes. So patients with diabetic mellitus are at a higher risk of cardiac arrhythmias and sudden death. Several animal and human studies are on this topic. The pathophysiology of the increased electrical vulnerability in diabetic is rather complex and remain undefined. There is always interplay of several concomitant factors, that is occurrence of arrhythmias. The atherosclerosis as well as microvascular disease increased in diabetic patients that results in myocardial ischemia, cardiac arrhythmias, and sudden cardiac death. This is patients with diabetes mellitus. So the autonomic neuropathy. So cardiac autonomic neuropathy and cardiac repolarization. So all these abnormalities, prolonged QT interval, altered T waves of the diabetic heart increases electrical instability. So all these factors result in creation of electrical instability, cardiac arrhythmias, and sudden cardiac death. So very, very important. Cardiac autonomic neuropathy and cardiac repolarization, we have to play importance. Again, The association of diabetes mellitus and atrial fibrillation. Recent, that is demonstrations, diabetes is the strongest predictor of atrial fibrillation progression. We all know atrial fibrillation is normal, regular, coordinated, sequential rhythm of atria is lost. So diabetic patients frequently have asymptomatic episodes of atrial fibrillation with a silent arrhythmia progression. There is also a recent study in which the patients with diabetes mellitus 2 and atrial fibrillation are at higher risk of death of any cause compared with those without atrial fibrillation. And there are seminal studies. They also stress that they stress very much that atrial fibrillation in diabetic patients should be regarded as a prognostic marker of adverse outcomes. So, it is rather prompt, aggressive management of all risk factors is rather required. So, this is rather the association of diabetes mellitus and atrial fibrillation. So, we are almost before time. The diabetes mellitus significantly alters the cardiac electrophysiology by several complex mechanisms. So they create electrical instability of the heart, potentially life threatening arrhythmias, and sudden cardiac death. There is always an association of RBB, and in fact, LBB is not associated with that. There is always an association of cardiac autonomic neuropathy, and always there is an association of atrial fibrillation, and also they are very much prone for coronary artery disease. So these are all the association of diabetes and cardiac dysrhythmias. So the diabetic and cardiac autonomic neuropathy, recent studies, diabetes mellitus is the strongest predictor of atrial fibrillation progression. The patients with diabetes and cardiac autonomic neuropathy. So asymptomatic episodes of atrial fibrillation. Suddenly patients will develop palpitation. So asymptomatic episodes of atrial fibrillation and silent arrhythmias. So there is a high risk of death of any cause compared with those without atrial fibrillation or without diabetes mellitus. So the long chain acyl carnitine, then the so-called HERG channel play a vital role in MI, diabetes, genetic fatty acid disorder. This is the association of diabetic mellitus and cardiac autonomic neuropathy. So look at it. This is a 60-year-old lady, known hypertension, diabetes, came with vomiting, abdominal pain. You look at the ECG carefully and let us see what does it show. This ECG of 60-year-old lady, QS complexes lead to lead 3 ABF and T wave inversion V4 to V6. You can analyze. So lead 2, lead 3 ABF. You can see QS complexes and T wave inversion in V4 and V6. You can see. So this is a old inferior wall infarction because 2-3 AVF shows QS complexes and V4 to V5 there is T wave inversion. So it is indicative of lateral wall ischemia. So this is a patient of old inferior wall myocardial infarction, lateral wall ischemia. Echo basal inferior wall akinetic, normal LV systolic function, concentric left ventricular hypertrophy, aortosclerosis, mild AR, but patients actually came for vomiting, abdominal pain. This is a case of calculus cholecystitis. So it is evident that diabetic patients, especially with the hypertension, are more prone for coronary artery disease, and this is the patient. This patient is a known hypertension, diabetes, and came with vomiting and abdominal pain. So diabetic patients, especially when associated with hypertension, more for coronary artery disease. So this is very, very important. Thank you very much. And I think 10 minutes before time, I have finished. Over to the events team.